In this video, we shall recall some results that you have studied in your undergraduate course. The first is that left and right cancellation laws hold in a group. That means if BA is equal to CA, then B is equal to C. That means we can cancel A from the right hand side. The second one is left cancellation law that says that AB equal to AC implies B is equal to C. That means we can cancel A from the left hand side. And the number of elements in a finite group is called its order. The order of a group G is denoted by this symbol, which we read as order of G. The order of an element X in a group G is the smallest positive integer n such that x to the power n is 1. Additively, if nx equal to 0. If no such n exists, that means we cannot find an n such that x to the power n is 1, then x is called of infinite order. Order of x is denoted by this symbol mod x, and we read it as order of x. And another result is that if x to the power m is 1, then order of x divides m. As an example, let us take this group G, which consists of 4 elements 1, minus 1, iota and minus iota. Then minus 1 raised to power 1 is minus 1, so it is not equal to the identity element. But minus 1 raised to power 2 gives us minus 1 times minus 1, and that is 1. So 2 is the smallest integer such that minus 1 raised to power 2 is 1. So we can say that order of minus 1 is 2. Similarly, if we take this element iota, then we can make iota raised to power 4 1. But iota raised to power n is not 1 if n is strictly less than 4. That means iota to the power 1, 2 or 3 is not 1. So order of iota is 4. In the additive group of integers, order of 0 is 1 because 1 times 0 gives us 0. But if m is any non-zero integer in Z, then we cannot find a positive integer n such that n times m is 0. So all non-zero elements in the additive group of integers are of infinite order. A subset H of G is called a subgroup of G if H itself is a group under the same operation. And if H is a subgroup of G, then we write it as this H less equal to G, but read it as H is a subgroup of G. As an example, consider this group again G consisting of 4 elements 1, minus 1, iota and minus iota. If we take this subset H equal to 1 and minus 1, then H is a subgroup of G. Because H again is a group under the same operation, that is ordinary multiplication of numbers. 1 is the identity in H and minus 1 is self-invertible. So H is a group under the same operations and H is a subset of G, so H is a subgroup of G. As another example, consider the group GL2R, general linear group of 2 by 2 invertible matrices over R, and let us take its subset SL2R, which consists of matrices A, B, C, D whose determinant is 1. Then this becomes a subgroup of G because it contains the identity matrix, this one, which will behave like the identity of this group. And if ABCD is any invertible matrix in SL2R whose determinant is 1, then its inverse also has the determinant 1. So every element of SL2R has inverse also. SL2R is called the special linear group. This is a simple criterion to check whether a non-empty subset H is a subgroup of G or not. The condition is that XY inverse should be in H for all XY in H. And in additive notation, we need to check that X minus Y is in H. In addition, if H is finite, then we need only check that XY is closed under the binary operation. And in additive notation, X plus Y should be in H. The center of a group G is the set of all those elements of G which commute with all elements of G. Notice that 1 always belongs to the center because one commutes with every element of G. As an example, you can check that center of S3 is only 1, consists of only the identity element. And if you check the center of D4 dihedral group of order 8, then you can check that its center contains R0. R0 is of course identity and the rotation by 180 degree. Center of a group is always a subgroup of G. The centralizer of an element A in G, denoted as CA, is the set of all those elements in G which commute with A. As an example, if we take the dihedral group of order 8, then centralizer of R0 is the complete group D4. R0 is the identity of D4, and because identity commutes with all the elements, so naturally the centralizer of identity element will contain the whole group. And centralizer of R180 is also D4. This the reason is that R180 is in the center of the group D4, and central element commutes with all the elements of the group. That's why the centralizer of R180 is also D4. Whenever an element belongs to the center of the group, then its centralizer will be the whole group. Then you can check that centralizer of R90 and R270 are same and they contain 4 elements, and these 4 elements are all the rotations of the group D4. Centralizer of H and centralizer of V are same. H is horizontal flip in the horizontal axis and V is flip in the vertical axis. These two these two centralizers contain the 4 elements R0, R180, H and V. Then centralizer of D1 and D2 are same and they contain R0, R180, D1 and D2. Notice that R0 and R180 are coming in all the centralizers, and the reason is that they are in the center because they commute with all the elements, so they will appear in all the centralizers. All the elements of the center of a group appear in all the centralizers, and we can also prove that centralizer of an element is always a subgroup of the group. A map phi from a group G to another group G bar is called an isomorphism if phi is 1 1 on 2 and it preserves the group operation. That means phi of xy is same as phi x into phi y. Now this information that phi is 1 1 and on 2 tells us that G and G bar are of the same size. And this information that phi preserves the group operation tells us that these two groups G and G bar are having the same structure. The word actually isomorphism is a combination of two Greek words, isos and morph. Isos means equal and morph means form. So these two groups G and G bar are of the same form. We can understand this thing by this example. So in this example we take a group G, this one containing four elements, 1 I, minus I and minus 1, and another group U10. It consists of four positive integer 1, 3, 7 and 9, which are co-prime to 10. Now if we make the operation table of both these groups, then if we compare 1 with 1, 3 with I, 7 with minus I and 9 with minus 1, then you can check that both these tables are exactly same. Only difference is that 1 in G looks like 1 in U10, I in G looks like 3 in U10, and minus I in G looks like 7 in U10, and minus 1 in G looks like 9 in U10. Whatever these four elements 1, 3, 7 and 9 do in U10, their corresponding elements 1 I, minus I and minus 1 do in the group G. So behavior of these four elements is same as the behavior of these four elements. These are some properties of an isomorphism. Under an isomorphism, 1 always goes to 1. Identity of G will go to the identity of G bar. X to the power n goes to phi x raised to power n, and two elements in G commute implies that their images phi a and phi b commute in G bar. Phi preserves the order of the element, it preserves order of every element. So order of A and order of phi a would be same. If H is a subgroup of G, then phi of H will be a subgroup of G bar. And if phi from G to G bar is an isomorphism, then its inverse, phi inverse, is an isomorphism from G bar to G.